So our first session for today is myself, and I will be sharing when your passion becomes a pain, how to fall back in love with your business. What they don't tell you. Now, just about every small business motivational speaker or coach talks about following your passion. You know, you got to find that passion and follow it, girl. But I've never seen anyone talk about what you need to do when that passion becomes a pain, a big one. This is particularly and especially affects service professionals when you are the product. When you're the product and you're selling a service and there are no tangible goods being sold, you know, so it's hard for people to really quantify the value, okay? So all too often it's easy for people, including yourself when you're the service professional, to undervalue your business or require you to work 10 times as hard for half the money. Well, you know, I don't really see it, so, you know, it can't be that hard, you know? For this reason, most end up closing their doors or trying something new, but that's not really the best solution. So today, we will explore how you work through the frustration, turn the pain back into the passion, and ultimately keep doing what you do best. Okay, so how do you fall out of love for your business? Common big pain. Slow, low, or no sales. That's ultimately it. When folks say, you know, girl, I don't want to do this no more. I don't like this no more. Because the money's not coming in. Slow, no, or low sales. Common sources of this pain. Customers who devalue your service. Customers who say they can't afford to pay you. I get this on just about any call when they say, you know, I'm frustrated with the business. They can't afford to pay me. I really want to work with them. What do I do? Customers who no longer need you for the business. So it was all good when they found you, they used you, and that's it. They're gone. So, okay, today is about the Sister Sense solution. 1, find new ways to appeal to old customers, find new ways to attract new customers, and find smart ways to show the value to those people who are consistently devaluing and saying, oh, I can't pay for it right now, or, you know, so this is what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so I like lists. These are my love it lists. Here is my personal list, the pain back to profit checklist. I should say not profit, but passion. 1, you're going to define your specialty and create a unique package. And I like to give people visuals and examples, so I generally tend to use myself because the list is basically what I do in my business. So, for example, you all know I'm a web designer. And what I did was I started to develop custom name networks. And that really wasn't what I was doing. For the most part, I was doing WordPress blogs and building websites from scratch. But what ended up happening is that people came to me and they said, well, LaShanda, I love BBWO. Can you make a social network for me that looks just like that? And then what I realized when I put the package together, because it was so much work, it was my highest paying package. So I said, okay, develop a specialty. Just, you can say, yeah, I'm a web designer, or I can say, I specialize in developing name networks. And so I don't promote myself as a name network designer, but because I blog a lot about it and people come and see BBWO, that's how I get consistent traffic and sales. So that's the first thing you need to do. Think about your business and how you can create a specialty package to appeal to a particular audience. Another example of this, and you can write down the website, is TY Web and Creations. She does, absolutely love her, she does print and web graphics, but in particular for authors. So there are thousands and millions of web designers in the whole world, but she focuses on African American authors. She does their website, she does their bookmarks, everything. So she's gotten that particular audience on lock. She doesn't have to worry about doing websites for everybody. She can do it just for authors, okay? Seek out more high-end clients. That's essentially one of the things that you need to do. So here's food for thought. $1 million realtors don't work with folks who want to rent apartments. They seek out millionaires who want $1 million homes, okay? So, you know, if you want to work with higher-end clients, you have to go and seek them out. My particular audience, my core audience, is women entrepreneurs who, like me, started out on a shoestring budget. I don't start with high-end clients. I start with the $7, the $49, the $97. So what you have to do is you have to figure out how you're going to seek out a high-end client when that's not your target audience, okay? So here are some examples. One, be where they are. My first 4,500 deal via my BE Entrepreneurs event. I went to the Women of Power Summit, which is designed for corporate women and professionals. They have money because they have corporate money. So when I say I'm a web designer, I don't have to convince them to pay me $450. They're ready to pay me $4,500. Okay? So if you want to work with higher end clients, number one, you have to be where they are. Number two, you have to be known by key influencers. I think either to someone or to most people yesterday I had mentioned, I did Dr. Sherry Blake's website, and she was the doctor that was on the Braxton show. I don't know if she's still on there, but when that process started, she needed a website. I worked through her with one of the key influencers who knows me as a web designer. He was working on her project, said, look, she's going on Tony and Braxton show. She needs a website like tomorrow. Can you do it for me? So if you want high-end clients, you have to know people, key influencers who know high-end clients, because when they need somebody, they're going to call you, okay? Number three, be aware of their needs, okay? So if you say, okay, I want to work with more people who have more money. I'm tired of working with broke folks. Okay, fine. What are the needs of people who are high-end? Because and this is particularly important if they are not your target market. Because if you focus all your time on the people that you're trying to specialize with or on, you really don't know how to resonate with people who are in another tax bracket, right? So you have to figure out what their needs are. So for example, the name setup is something that I kind of like. I said, okay, well, a lot of people keep coming to me. You know, I've been working with a surgeon. You can look at his, I think last year. And I'm still working on the medical network with him, this new social network. That is a specific, specialized platform for a high-end client. So you've got to figure out what their needs are. Marketing for doctors. And Michelle talked about this yesterday, and it's funny because I wrote it down here. She specializes in working with this particular unique audience that happens to be a high-end client. So you've got to figure out what they need, why they need it, and how you're going to help them before you can seek them out. Okay. Define and eliminate time-consuming tasks. If this becomes a pain, the worst part of it being a pain is doing the stuff that you go, God, I got to wake up and do this morning. Oh, I don't want to do this morning. So I knew there were certain things about my job as a service professional that drove me crazy. One was that every single email of me explaining what I did as a web designer, over and over and over. It was time consuming. I do most of my emails, and so most of the stuff is not automated for me when it comes to responding to people. There are no autoresponders, so it just became time consuming. I said, okay, I'm going to put this back on them. I created a form. It has questions. They have to respond to the questions. The website has my portfolio. It had all the details. It took me forever to actually do that. Sometimes the time-consuming tasks we put off doing the form, or we put off putting up the information, and we just keep doing that damn thing over and over and over again. You have to make the time to really streamline whatever it is you're doing and get rid of those time-consuming tasks, because a part of the pain and the frustration is coming from having to do that crap over and over and over again. Number two, accepting quick calls or answers to quick questions. I strategically cut that out. Cut it out. So I said, one, on the website for Sister Sense, I said, one, I'm going to have the form, and it has all the questions. What's your budget? What's the project? What's your website? So I can take a look at all of that. And basically, look at the package. Did you look at the package? Did you look at the package? You know, like, just making sure that they have as much information before that I talk to them, because I really don't want to start from, so these are my packages, this is the 5 years. It just becomes, again, the pain part of the process. And then ultimately, they got to go through those points before we actually have a conversation. Create policies that will appeal to more clients. And this one is particular. In particular, you'll find on the Sister Sense blog when I talked about last week or the week before. So it's inspired by the conference, because I wanted to just talk about it in the conference. I put it on the blog. How to work with clients who say they can't afford to pay you. It's a big one. People, this one reason or another, this is not going to work for me. And then you get on a call and you try to figure out how to make it work for them, right? You know, I'm going to make it work. Baby girl got some bills to pay, I'm going to make it work. But there are several things that you can strategically do to figure out something that's going to work for the both of you. Because I've learned when I get on that call and I impulsively try to sell myself, then all of a sudden they walk away with this great deal. I've devalued myself and I'm doing a whole hell of a lot of work not for what I wanted. I am not an on-the-fly girl by any way, means, shape, or form when it comes to service sales. I am not. So if I get on an impulse call, best believe the only person who's going to be happy after that call is them. So what I like to do is prepare, and I'm going to talk about these 5 options here, my game plan, so that ultimately something here has to work for them. And if it doesn't work for them, they didn't want to work with me. Because ultimately, you get to a point where really and truly, it's not so much they're giving you excuses, but they're giving themselves excuses as to why they can't do this, whatever the thing is, right? So option number 1, periodic promotional codes and discounts. That's pretty much what a lot of people do. You know, okay, well, if somebody comes to you and it just so happens that you have a promotional discount, you can give them that, right? That's a no-brainer. Number 2, I decided to do a la carte packages. And Artistia, you were part of my coaching program, so you remember I talked about that, especially as a service professional and a designer. People will come to me and say, well, LaShanda, I want my network to look just like yours. And I say, good, well, that starts at about $1,500. And they go, oh, girl, what can we do? I said, okay, well, look, if you just want basic, we can do that for $450. Then if you want this is $250. You want this is $150. Then all of a sudden, it gets to be, they get a package and a price point that works for them. And I'm not giving you a $1,500 website for $500. So it works for both of you. Even if you get less money, the idea is you're not putting in the time to give them more, getting less money. Okay? So if you say, well, girl, you know, I only got 5. Can you work with 5? I can work with 5 with a package at 5, not with me working at 5 for $1,500. So you've got to, develop your a la carte packages before the impulse call. Okay? Prepare for it. Be ready. Number 3, layaways and partial payment plans. That works as well. It works for big stores. It works for Kmart. Let it work for you. But think about when you're doing a partial payment plan, what's your lowest offer for partial payments? And I know this because I've learned this. I used to say, okay, fine, I'm going to do a web gig for you. Yeah, you can do partial payments. And then it's a $300 project, and I'm getting $150, and I got to chase you down for the other $150. Oh, I'm not doing that no more now. So then I said, well, look, I'm only doing partial payments for projects under $700. Nothing lower than that. I set my policy. I know what I'm going to say when I get on the call. You want a partial payment? Well, it has to be above this point. Well, why? Justify why it has to be above that point. Well, if I'm going to do a $300 project, I'm going to tell you right now it's going to take me 2 to 3 days. You don't need to do a partial payment for a 2 to 3 day project. So you've got to have a reason why you do what you do, and you have to have a policy, just like if you went to a 9-to-5 job and they would break down a policy for you. So this is how we run our business. You have to do that for yourself because, like I said, I hate calls, and I hate getting on a call and being impulsive because I don't know what to do. So you have to be ready and you have to prepare for it.
Quick question.
Yes.
Did you take your number off of the website and they have to fill out a form?
They do.
Take them back?
They do.
Oh, okay.
They do. It's very few people that get my number. And then when you get it, people tend to, this one lady, she said, yeah, girl, I guard that number from my life. You know, I don't even know about that. Yeah, because I don't want to have, I don't do the assisted thing. I do most of the things that I do directly. And so I don't want people just to be able to pick up the phone and call me whenever they feel like it. That may not work for you. I mean, you've got a brick and mortar business, but it depends. Maybe that business number is different from, let's say, if you're doing consulting and you're doing natural hair care. It depends on what number they would have to call you at. Another option for them is DIY consultation services. I talk about this. There are different types of customers. You need to know what type of customer you're coming into the call with. And experience generally gives you a sense of the type of customer you're talking to. I can generally gauge when I give people numbers and they can start cringing. I know, well, okay, DIY call. If you want me to do a WordPress blog for you and I say, okay, the basic package is $650 and you can't do $650, well, let me do a call. We can get on a webinar and I can show you how to install your blog. It's WordPress.org. There's a lot of stuff that's out there for free and I can walk you through the process in the DIY call. So then I take that $600 and I knock it down to a package that they might be able to afford. Number 5, DIY reference guide. That's even cheaper than a consultation call. Because then I say, okay, well, it sounds like you're excited about this. You want to get the website up and going, but you're not quite ready. You don't really know what you want to do. So you can take one of my marketing guides. You can read that, get information. Ultimately, you're getting it down to the point where they may not be clear on what they want, but you know them. It's kind of like when you said yesterday, you know the frustration. You get those same emails and you already know for it. So rather than get that bubble gut feeling and be pissed off because, girl, this is that call again, you know it, you prepare for it. And say, okay, well, okay, you can't afford that. Okay, good. Get the e-guide. But don't not have an e-guide and say, well, eventually I'm going to sell an e-guide. They sell when you give it to people. The time when you really make the sale is when people are in a position that they need the information and you reference them over. Not when you're trying to pitch like a vast majority of people on Facebook. It's when you're having those one-on-one conversations. Periodically raise prices. I'm bad at this, but I do it. I do it in small increments, but I do it. Small prices. Just a small price change can go a long way. If you say, I need more money in my business, well, how much more money would you need? If you just raise your price a little bit and you get an extra $500, would that make you feel better? When was the last time you changed your hourly rate? If you're a service professional in here and you actually do, when was the last time you changed your hourly rate? Ask yourself that question. If you say, good Lord, I can't even remember, it's time to raise yourself, raise the prices. What products or services can you raise by a $5 to $50 rate? I find that when I look at it, I talk about my money markers, I won't belabor that here, but what I will say is I look at it and say, well, what's realistic for me and what's realistic for my customers where we're both happy? I often use this example. We all know what happened with Netflix. If you're a Netflix fan, they got happy. Netflix was making money, they got happy. I was a good Netflix. I was like, yeah, I love my Netflix. I ain't going nowhere. Till they try to just jump. It's just like, okay, hey, everybody, tomorrow you're paying this, and they didn't justify it. They didn't give us more for it. They didn't even give us time. They said tomorrow you are paying this. That pissed everybody off. And then what they didn't expect was every other company came out from the woodworks and started doing exactly what they were doing and a little bit better. So now, several months later, oh yeah, you can start at $7.98, but doesn't Hulu Plus start at $7.98? Oh, so wait, now you went from the big boy on the block to having to compromise and compete because you got a little bit too greedy. So when you raise your prices, you want to think about what works for you and what works for your customers. Be strategic about it. Be your best client. Especially if you're a service professional, whatever you do. Do you hire you? Okay? How well does your work reflect your skill? Okay? Because if you are your best client, like that Bosley commercial, you need to show it off. You're proof that it works. I often receive name projects based on my BBW network. I am my best client. I don't have to pay nobody to advertise me as a web designer that does name networks because my network does it for me. Visual examples or videos can help sell you online, especially if you are a service professional. If you are a coach, if you're doing something that is not tangible, they can't see it. They need something of substance to get a better sense of you. 6 months ago, I did She Rocks the Web, and then a few months later, I said, you know what, people keep saying, when's the webinar, when's the video, da-da-da. I did a webinar, but then I put up video clips of She Rocks the Web on YouTube. One of the people who signed up to the webinar was like, oh girl, I saw that and I was like, when's the next one? I said, well, there's a webinar next week. She signed up. So you have to figure out what visual representations of you as a client or of your business can you show people. Again, these are all little things that really help push you and turn that pain back into a passion. Because again, the pain is coming from the no sales, low sales, slow sales. Make time for your business. If you ever find yourself telling yourself or others, your frustration comes from either being able to do this for everybody else but yourself. Girl, I could do this for her. I could do this in a minute. When it comes to me, oh, dude. Or from only having the time to work on client projects. I would do it because I get this all the time from my coaching clients. You know, I would do it, but I got so much stuff from somebody else. I can't do it because I'm doing da-da-da. Then you have a problem. A big part of this process is improving your own business. Doing these little things that we kind of push at the back because those other things are making you money, right? But what the problem is you're making the same or less. So you've got to take time to raise your prices. You've got to take time to revamp your system before you get that passion back. Example, do you send out emails to new customers or leads? You should have an automatic follow-up. That's just been the thing that everybody's talking about. You should have some sort of automatic sequence. And folks will say, girl, I know I need that newsletter. I know I need that autoresponder. And then 3 months later, they come back to me and say, yeah, girl, I knew I needed that responder. Did you do it yet? Oh, girl, you know, client work. But then you had 3 months where people were not getting consistent follow-up from you. And you don't know what that could have done for you because you didn't make time for your business. Tapping into something new. Sometimes we get into ruts because either we are bored or our clients are tired of seeing the same old damn thing. They don't want it no more. So you feel like you always spinning a wheel because you're always trying to find somebody new. Or ultimately you're bored. I get bored. You know, people say you got 15 sites. Yeah, because I get bored. So sometimes when it becomes frustrating and you want to do something else, sometimes all you really need to do is to try to do something a little different. To kind of spice it up. You know, they say spice up your relationship. When you've got a relationship with your business, sometimes you've got to spice it up. So one example of that is the Sister Sense Power Circle Summit. When I did that, the first one I did, that was, and I did a post recently on BBWO about how I made $2,000 in 2 days. That was the first time I said I was going to go out there, seek out speakers, and do a telesummit and bring people together. It was something new. I'd never done that before. I do a lot of audio trainings. I do ebooks. Everything I do is just, you know, me sharing information. I said, you know what? Folks are probably tired of just hearing my voice. Maybe they want to hear other entrepreneurs in the same genre, but just something different, okay? Not so much outside of the realm of what you do. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up, and then they have 15 business cards. It's not even just doing something different. It's doing something completely different because it's like, yeah, I just got to go off the wall because I'm so tired of this. Do something that's still in the realm of what you love and what your clients expect from you, but just make it different, okay? Another example of that is way back I did the Sisters Who Sell 7-Day Challenge. It's a low entry offer because it's a 7-day $7 challenge. And it still sells. It motivates new people to try, and I talk about this as well when I talk about marketing, when you have a low entry offer, something that, you know, that giving people options, something that somebody is willing to try, motivates them. And then at that point, of course, when people have tried you and they say, okay, well, you know, she didn't say it was a $7 challenge, I paid the $7, I got nothing, right? So she must be legit. I can do something a little more expensive with her. Gives them an entry point. Now, what's interesting about the Sisters Who Sell 7-Day Challenge is when I noticed people were subscribing onto it, I saw some people I hadn't seen in years. I was like, oh, damn, where she came from? It's an opportunity when you do something like that to reactivate old people. Because they go, oh, she's doing something different. What's this 7-Day Challenge about? Okay, I want to be a part of this. Da-da-da-da. So either you're doing something different because it's interesting to you. I got the bubble guts when I did the telesummit. I wasn't ready for conference yet. But I was like, okay, I got to do speakers. And what do you do if you don't charge the speakers? And I did, by the way. Ooh, I need my plug. For me. Yeah. It's in the red bag. When I did the telesummit, I learned so much from that. So one of the articles you'll see on Sister Sense is in the red bag for the laptop. One of the articles you'll see on Sister Sense is about how you do your own webinars and how you host your own teleconferences for profit. I learned a lot from that, but it made me nervous. But it was a good nervous because it was a new challenge. And sometimes when your business becomes monotonous and boring, it's because you need something to get that good nervousness again and feel excited about what you do. So bringing the spark back. When you alleviate time-consuming tasks, start to generate more revenue for doing less or equivalent to what you already are doing now. When you're more... Yes. When more of your prospective clients, see, this is what happens when you write too fast. When you think faster than you write, right? When more of your prospective clients stop getting you to work for free and start paying you for what you're worth, essentially, that is when you start to remove that frustration. Now, as you start to follow this checklist that I've given here, make it simple. Be strategic in how you handle your business, and you will feel that spark again as things begin to pick up. It's strategic. It's a process. I always say, it takes a lot of little things because it's a lot of little things that, make me stay consistent in doing what I do. So remember, your frustration is probably not from the business, but how you manage it and work with customers. A lot of times people think it's because they hate the business and it's time to do something new. But sometimes it's just how they manage it. They manage
more. Do you go after the high-end clients as well as your niche, or should your niche be your high-end clients?
Okay. So, my niche is a low-end client, honestly. That I work with women that identify with me, and I say I started on a shoestring budget, and that's how they come to me. I love working with that niche. It's like working with me. I'm a narcissist like that. But that doesn't mean that you should then change your client base. I have packages for high-end clients. The idea here is that you have to be ready when people want to work with you, and you have to create a package that appeals to everybody. Okay. Not everybody in the sense that everybody wants it, but you're conscious of the fact that there are just different types of people out there. It's just, that's how the process works. So one of the things that I have is in my equation, and I'll just give you the short end of it. Ultimately, my equation to keeping things steady is a combination of my low-end products, my high-end products, and my passive income, like things like AdSense and affiliate ads. And the three together just make me able to sustain myself as a work-at-home entrepreneur. But I don't sacrifice one for the other, because I personally believe that there are people who make lots of money with high-end clients, and then you find them sleeping at hotels because they don't have any more high-end clients, and they don't know how to make it work. When I started working, I was doing my $7 and my $1, and I know how to turn those dollars into thousands of dollars. So I maintained low-end products, and I'm happy now to say I'm blessed to be able to get higher-end products, but I do a combination of the two because every day is different. Make sense?
It does. I was going to try to say this for that little panel up there.
Yes.
But my issue is just instantly last night after talking to Rochelle giving me great boost, and my passion last night instantly became a huge pain to the point where I could barely sleep last night.
Wow.
Wait till night. No, this is just like almost a stopper for me. I mean, so long story short, you shared a site with me at dinner and said, this lady's doing something similar to what I want to do. Well, her site led me to another site where this lady is doing the exact same thing.
And didn't I say yesterday morning?
Exact same thing.
Don't be intimidated by that, but keep going.
Okay, the exact same thing, even for the exact same purpose. When I talk to you about the American Girl thing and how they don't offer, to me, what I consider an adequate American doll for my daughter, I'm thinking, I want to create my own doll. I love dolls. That's my passion. I love little girl things. I love dolls. I love encouraging little girls. But that was this lady's purpose too, because she went in there and took her daughter, and American Girl didn't have the doll that her daughter wanted.
Okay.
When I say the exact same thing, so I'm sitting up here all night long, sulking in the room with Tanya. And I'm like, can you believe this? And I'm like, Tanya, go to this site right now. I cannot freaking believe this. And I'm like, PO'd.
Oh.
So I'm kind of like, I have to change now. I don't even know. This was like.
Okay, let me tell you something right now. I'm going to give you a really big aha moment. I created the Power Circle because I need a good old girls club. I need my own good old girls club. The boys got it. We need one. Okay? There are a lot of things that the boys do, and they do it exactly the same. But they work together. And it doesn't stop one boy from doing it from the other boy because they just want to be competitive and do what they need to do. There are millions, billions of people in the world. It doesn't mean that you can't do what you want to do. Keep in mind that there's overlap between just about every person who's speaking here. I talk about, okay, case in point, we all mentioned autoresponder in one way, shape, or form. Does that mean that one person's client is not going to take the other? We got different clients. It's just that's the world that we live in. Someone may come at you. They may find you locally. It doesn't matter. But they're going to see your stuff, and it's going to be unique to you. I don't have a problem if I can't take a client or somebody needs something. I will say, Artistica does web design. That some clients go here or go there. Really, that's just the luck of the draw. But that nothing should deter you from your passion, because then that means you're not that passionate. You can't let one night.
I am, but I almost feel like I am, but I almost feel like if I did it, this chick like the same with hookah. I'm stealing her.
No. Let me tell you. I'll tell you two other things about that whole concept of stealing. Rochelle and I, we talk about the internet marketers all the time. There are certain big boys in the game, and she knows them way better than I do. She'd be schooling me. But the reality is, once you get into the internet marketing game, you realize one way, or the majority of time, the way they make money is by selling their partner stuff. They make the same stuff and change the name. But he sells his, then he makes some money, then he goes and sells his, and then he makes some money, and they're all making money, and it's not, oh no, I don't want to work with that girl, she won't take my client. I do the Power Circle to change the mentality because that's not how they do it, and they all make money. Because it doesn't matter that it's a different face on the product, it's that person who is at home going, oh yeah, here's another product, I want to buy it, I want to buy it, I want to buy it. That's the same concept. That's number one. Number two, I am a person who likes to create, and I tell you things from my experience. I call myself a blog entrepreneur, but not a blogger, because I don't have time to blog. I'm an entrepreneur. So when you're looking at your business, you have to see it as, you don't look at what other people are doing. I don't have time to look at what other bloggers are doing. I don't know 99% of half the damn bloggers out there because I only blog about my business. Don't look at her stuff. Make it a point to never even see it. So you know that your vision is unique to you. Great minds think alike. You can't change that. But what you can know is that, hey, we like purple. She like purple. Hey. Purple's a nice color. What can I tell you? But it's not that. It's very different, and you had your game plan. You said you had an editor, and then you see her stuff, then you saw her stuff, and it jacked her. Oh, that's not what you did. So don't see it as that. Okay. My long-winded way of saying it. Don't see it as that.
I just like to come from a holistic point of view and talk globally. When we're thinking about something, somebody else is thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything is energy. So you have to just go with what LaShanda is saying, because we all are creating energy here.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to get to you 1 second. What I will say is, like I said before, I periodically look at stuff just to know what's out there, but for the most part, I don't look at it because I don't want it to taint my uniqueness and my originality. That's number one. Number two, while you're going to find people that you admire and you follow them, I do that as well. You, again, same thing, you want to sometimes just lock that off, okay?
I just want to make just a quick point to you right quick. Just, you also, and everybody else in the room, you just want to, who you think is your competition isn't necessarily your competition.
Yeah.
And so, what you just to piggyback off of what LaShanda just said, a lot of times what you want to do is, instead of thinking them as competition, you want to partner with people who do have your same market so that you can create a broader reach. Yeah. And it's really, they're really not your competition. Okay.
You know, didn't she tell you that last night? Didn't she just tell you that last night?
Great minds think alike.
I can hear it. Do you understand?
I get it too. I got girlfriends out telling stuff, and another girlfriend of mine is telling. So I just told you the same thing. When I chopped liver, it didn't make sense.
Because think about it, you're going into a niche that's underrepresented, and there are a lot of people with that vision, but because they are not sellers, they never really get to a point where people know them enough for them to be really competition for you. You know, there are a lot of wonderful women who make their own natural body products. There's only really one, Lisa Price. You know? So, you know, they're doing their things and they're happy. I believe that success is success in your own right. I consider myself to be successful at any level I make it, I'm happy. But that doesn't mean that that should negate what you're doing or make you feel a certain way.
I'll just say this. Last night,
Her dolls are pretty.
You know how, like, and I don't have a little boy. So, I mean, I have a boy and I don't have any girls. But so when I was a little girl, I know black dolls had, you know, like their skin was like too dark in there. And even the black Barbies have like long straight hair.
Yeah.
Well, right. See, all black women don't look like that. So, I mean, you could do a doll with, you know, braids. You could do a
Foxy
doll
brown.
with, you know, with different, yeah, right. Right. And then I bought a doll. I have a thing for dolls too. Just, you know, like a person. And I bought this little doll in this, like, antique shop, like a white-owned antique shop. And it was a baby doll. And she was so beautiful, and I couldn't figure out what was so different about this doll. And so the man that owned the store told me that, you know, because her face wasn't all like black and plastic looking. And he said it's how they make the dolls. That typically when they make a black doll, they just, you know, take a white doll and paint it
black.
Right.
Yes.
He said this doll was like made from the inside out. This was like 20 years ago. But I remember the conversation, but I don't remember exactly the details. But he was telling me it was the way the doll was made to make her look right, more authentic, you know, like women of color look. And I fell in love with this doll. I bought this doll. I had this doll sitting in my living room. Somebody stole that doll. And I still remember this doll. And I still, like, you know, prayed for this doll. But it was because, you know, the way she was created. So, you know, that's something you can research that.
when I was talking to even a young lady about illustrators, I said I wanted an illustrator for this book that could really capture the African American spirit of not looking like a white little girl painted brown. I want that. I wanted to look our features, what we really look like. And you look at it, you know that that's a little black girl.
Yes.
And we all the same is, you know, we are so different. And our skin tones are so different. And our hair textures are so different. And, you know, then we have biracial. You know, that's like big time right now. I mean, it is what it is. It's really growing. Yeah. Yeah. So what can your doll have that these other dolls don't have? That the little girls can go in the store and say, Mommy, I gotta have
that one.
And not only that, your experience, your unique value proposition. It's your brand is the promise of an experience. So whatever your experience is going to be with you, should be different from whatever experience if somebody goes somewhere else.
Absolutely.
If I can piggyback off of the conversation that we had last night where Michelle was telling you maybe you should go to them and partner with American Girl. Maybe you were so nervous because of where they are that you didn't want to partner with them. But you found somebody last night that's not at their level that you can partner with. That maybe you're not so intimidated. Then if you all get together, you can partner with American Girl. So instead of looking at it like, oh my gosh, she's doing the same thing. No, we're doing the same thing. Let's partner together.
Well, competition ultimately is validation that your idea is
Exactly.
right.
That's another
You
thing.
need to look at that. If somebody's making money in your space, you need to like that.
Yeah.
And you know,
everybody
that's,
tries to be unique.
Right.
I was going to say that's an amazing point that Rochelle is making because, yes.
On mic.
Huh?
Say that again on the microphone.
What, that it's an amazing point? It's an amazing point that Rochelle is making because sometimes as women entrepreneurs we feel we have a calling and we want to do something, and I say, I don't sell passion, right? One, I'll talk about the pain in a good way, but I'll also talk about your passion has to be profitable, right? So then if you go into a market and you say, nobody's doing this, but if you have to convince people of the value, nobody's going to buy it. So you should feel like, yay, I know there's a market. Wait, 1 second.
To the table, you said something about the fruits of the spirit. Did you see that on her site? Regardless if you did, that's something
That's going to be
different.
unique to you.
Yeah, very unique.
But she's doing it and you bring your part to it and y'all get together. I mean,
I'm hearing it.
I just want to share this for you and for everybody is that sometimes they talked about on the panel yesterday, emotions overtake us, so we can't be emotionally
We're
stable.
women.
But perspective is so important, and sometimes when our emotions get in our way, our perspective is completely cloudy.
Yes.
And I thank God that I'm able to see from another perspective because I just want you to take this guide. Just these two important events that anybody would have for their daughters, Christmas and their birthday. Let's not count the report cards they get every quarter, and if they make the honor roll, you might take them to the toy store. And when I grew up, I didn't have one baby. I want the next baby. So
You can always have more than one.
they can have their baby, that's the African American doll with a wolf, and then go to the store. The next birthday, you'll want yours.
Right,
So
right.
just never let your emotion get in the way. You have to look from that perspective because there's always somebody else who has a similar idea, but something special about yours.
And that is an amazing point, too, because that child is not going to carry that one doll for the rest of their life. That child may want other dolls. And then as parents, we will always say, especially when you proactively look for stuff, I look for positive stuff for my son, and my blog is the Black Parenting Blog, so you can tell me, hey, LaShanda, I want this on the Black Parenting Blog. Then you say, God, there's but 3 DVDs with Black Girl. What can I do? You know, so you're helping to increase that market. It's not a bad thing.
That same point that Rochelle was making, that's what I wanted to make. Because when I showed you the Sweet and Sassy website last night and the other, that's the message I wanted you to get, that you're not off in the cloud somewhere coming up with something, and they're making big bucks doing this sort of thing. And even, you never heard of Sweet and Sassy there. But that's also something in Maryland where you are, in terms of that you actually already have the blueprint for something. So your work isn't even, or shouldn't be as hard. So that was the point, to show you that you're not alone with that. And it's such a great idea that so many others are already tapping into it.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you all enjoyed this session. We are going to get ready for the first part of Rochelle's session just before we have some lunch. So a few minutes, stretch, relax, and then we're going to get into the $1 million equation.